Hey everybody, welcome back here to the second episode in our concert memories series. Of course, we kind of started this series. I talked about my first ever concert, which I forgot. I failed to mention the location of that concert with Brett Floyd back in Lord, that would have been maybe 2015, 2014, something like that. But that was in Little Rock, Arkansas. At the time, and it was called the Verizon Arena. They always change the name of it because I'm actually from Arkansas, so that's where a lot of I wouldn't say a lot, but a good chunk of these shows that I've been to have taken place. But this next one actually took place in Dallas, Texas, at a venue called the Bomb Factory. Kind of a pretty cool venue. It had like a balcony layer to it. Which I was there at kind of in the balcony area, so we had a really good view of the stage and everything. But like I've said before, I definitely prefer to be up in it. But at this point in time, I hadn't experienced that yet, being like on the floor, because as we saw with the last one with Brett Floyd, I was also kind of in some seats. But anyways, we're talking about Generation Axe, and if you wonder who that is. It was a tour going on that Steve Vai was kind of like his G3, right? Where these, guitar virtuosos come together and each kind of perform their own sets and then do some stuff together. And this one featured, of course, Steve Vai, who, he's got the poster back there. I've ranked and reviewed his albums. My favorite guitar player of all time, easily. So Steve Vai, we had Yngwie Malmsteen there. Zakk Wylde, of course, from Ozzy Osbourne, Black Label Society, and Pride and Glory. Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. And then Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme. All incredible, incredible artists. And things started off pretty cool. Like, they kind of all were jamming out together and everything. So, stuff was pretty neat there. Then, I think, Tosin Abasi went on first as far as the solo act goes. And each of these solo acts were... I think they each had a little while to play a lot of their solo material. Don't remember the exact time or whatever, but this was pretty cool seeing Tosin Abasi. I've never delved super deep into Animals as Leaders, but I've heard an album theirs and it was awesome. It's kind of like some not jazz fusion. I'm thinking of the super group band he was in called Tram, who's awesome. They're kind of a jazz fusion group, but they're kind of like a prog fusion, very technical, lots of time changes, does the kind of the djent style, or the djent, however you say it, but that kind of style of guitar with a lot of, kind of slapping going on and just really cool time changes. He was very cool to see live, very, very impressive to see live. Then Nuno Bettencourt went on, absolutely killed it. He played Flight of the Bumblebee, that little intro on Extreme's second album. He did that on an acoustic guitar, which was nuts. It was funny. He pretended like he was going to play more than words, but we all know we weren't there for that. We were here for some shredding, So he played some different stuff, and he did a solid job. That was really cool seeing Nuno Bettencourt. Then Zakk Wylde went on third, and I gotta say, as far as the showmanship went, he really took the cake. Right? He literally went around the venue, which again wasn't a massive venue, but like there were stairs to get up to like the balcony where we were. He went all over the venue in each section, playing in the crowd, shredding behind his head. I mean, I pat Zakk Wylde on the back as he passed by. He got on top of a table, started shredding. That was such a cool thing to see and witness. Just phenomenal. He played if I remember correctly, he played some like Black Sabbath stuff. And sang it, of course, himself. It wasn't with Black Label Society or anything, but they had like some session musicians there doing drums, different stuff like that. But he really took the cake as far as like showmanship goes, and really, I hadn't experienced something quite like that, at that point in time of a musician going out in the crowd and just going to town, man. I mean, that was such an awesome performance from him. Then Yngwie Malmsteen went on. Of course, I love Yngwie. Love his stuff, especially, his 80s material, early 90s material. Now he kind of disappointed in a way, right? So at first he was playing some pretty awesome stuff. I mean, I remember him playing like Trilogy's Suite Op 3 off of the album Trilogy. Um, and some of his other early material. But then he kind of got like, I don't know if it was part of his act or what, but he got real pissy, right? And man, he like would, I guess maybe one of the guitars was like slightly out of tune or something happened. He was chunking guitars at these guitar techs over there. I'm like, Lord have mercy, and then he kept, I mean, he made my ears ring. I've never had my ears ring so long after a concert. And I know concerts are loud, and believe me, I've been to death metal concert stuff. It's cool. It comes with the territory. But he was like bringing his guitar like near the amp. He even hit an amp at one point with it, and like all this feedback, and just bringing it up. And that was just the most annoying thing. And I'm like, wow, love you to death, Yngwie, but not cool. Kind of a dick move to do to a lot of people there. And it was, I mean, I was in awe whenever he was playing stuff and just seeing, his fingers glide on that neoclassical, arpeggios and just different stuff like that. And the scales he runs up, just phenomenal. But a good, like, chunk of his time was, messing around, doing some of that bullshit. So, was not a fan of that. Then Steve Vai went on, and man, that's what I was there for, right? My favorite guitar player ever. He absolutely killed it. I mean, he played, some of the best stuff in his catalog, some of his most notable stuff. He played, of course, like For the Love of God, Animals, so a lot of stuff off Passion and Warfare, which was really cool. I really wish he would have played some more stuff off Alien Love Circus, because I think he played Bad Horsey. I might be wrong. Again, this one's been a minute. This one would have been in like maybe 2016, 17, something like that, right? But I wish he would have played, maybe some stuff even off Flexible would have been cool. And I really wish, the one I wish he would have played most was Tender Surrender, right? But he did play some awesome stuff, and he really stole the show for me. And that was like a check off the bucket list to see Steve Vai live. And, he sometimes comes around the area, and we're, in Arkansas. So I do, I need to catch him again for sure. I missed him this last time he came around like an hour or two away from me, but definitely need to catch him again. Then the kind of grand wrap up was with all of them playing like a guitar version of Bohemian Rhapsody, which was pretty cool to see and everything, which I'm not the biggest Queen guy by any means, which I know is a hot take or whatever, but I just never, I don't think they suck or anything, but like, I'm just not, I don't find myself listening to them very often at all, if ever, but I'm not, if they come on the radio, I'm not gonna be like, turn it off, it's awful. But it was pretty cool to see like a guitar iteration of that, no vocals, just all the vocal melodies and harmonies and everything were done strictly with guitars from all these guys. So very, very cool concert. I gotta say, I liked this concert better than the Pink Floyd cover band, even though that was a cool first experience. This is where it was at, and I definitely want to hear from you guys if you guys have seen any of these guitar players, or if you saw Generation Axe on tour when that was going on. I'm not sure if they even did another tour after, maybe. Or if they're going to do it again, but it was pretty neat to see, and I loved seeing some of the best in the business, right? So very cool, and I also would love to hear you guys some of your stories from like your second concert experience, right? Or again, you can just talk about in general some of your favorite concert experiences as we kind of go through this series. So I know some of y'all told me about your first ones, and that was really cool, and some of y'all even told me about like seeing the actual Pink Floyd, which was pretty sweet. But it'd be kind of cool if we kind of go along to hear people's second concerts, and then third and so on and so forth. So that'll be pretty fun to see down there. And again, also if you guys have seen these particular artists as well down there, I'd love to hear your guys' experiences. And also, I would love to hear if Yngwie was kind of an asshole like he was here at this show, because I've heard some people have problems with him as well. Watching him, and it kind of being like, oh man, do I need to see him again, which would sucks, because I would love to, but like it makes me wonder, like, am I going to get him on a good day or a bad day, right? And I also don't want to really hear him on vocals because he also sang some, right? But that was the worst part of the show, probably, whenever he was going off on whatever tangent he was on. But again, overall, a positive show and a very, very cool one, cool venue. Although the next concert I'll talk about whenever we do this next episode was my first experience being down on the floor and like up in the business, you know. So we'll get to hear about that next time. And that next one is also probably my favorite concert I've ever been to. So stay tuned for that, guys. Like, subscribe, comment. We bumped it up to 300 subscribers today. Super appreciate you guys. You know, I never really intended for this thing to, or ever thought it would become like a big channel. It's really not a big channel right now. We're just 300 in, right? But, you know, that to me is really cool that, you know, 300 of you guys out there are subscribed and love to tune in. And I really appreciate you guys comment and everything as well. Very, very cool. So anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for next time.